Founded in 1976, Apple has had several wildly successful products, including the iPod, iPhone, and iPad today. Apple is the most valuable company in the world with a market value of $605 billion. But despite their popularity, Apple has made some products that weren't so popular. So here are 5 Apple products you never knew existed. Apple launched their own clothing line called the Apple Collection in 1986, 1 year after Steve Jobs was forced out of the company. It included hoodies, t-shirts, kids, clothing, and even items like Swiss Army, knives, and umbrellas. Apple's plan was to capitalize on their cult-like following by offering stylish 80s Apple-branded merchandise. But the Apple Collection never gained traction with customers and was ended not long after its conception. In 2005, Apple partnered with Motorola to create the world's first mobile phone with iTunes, called the Motorola Roker. Although Apple didn't design the phone themselves, they did design the phone themselves, software included on the phone. It had an interface similar to the iPod and held up to 100 songs. The phone featured a 1.9-inch color display, stereo speakers, and a microSD card support. Unfortunately, the phone suffered from frustratingly slow music, took transfers, a substandard camera, and software bugs. It didn't work quite right, even while being demoed on stage by Steve Jobs.
So I go there and I just resume my music right back to where it was. Well, I was supposed to resume my music right back to where it was. I hit the wrong button. But you can resume your music right back to where it was if you hit the right button.
Sales of the Motorola Roker were disappointing, leading to Apple and Motorola ending their partnership before. The first iPhone was announced in January 2007. Looking to expand their product lineup in increased revenue, Apple entered the $12 billion per year photography industry with the Apple Quick Take. The problem was Apple didn't know much about building cameras, so they partnered with Kodak and Fujifilm to make up for their lack of expertise. Released in 1994, the Apple Quick Take was one of the first consumer digital cameras ever made, sporting a 0.3 megapixel lens. The camera was capable of storing 32 photos at 320 by 220 by 240 resolution, or 8 photos. Yes, 8 photos at a resolution of 640 by 480. It had a built-in flash, but no focus or zoom features. Also, there was no way to view the photos on the camera. You had to transfer them to your computer to see how they turned out. The Quick Take achieved modest sales and numbers, but it wasn't the success Apple had hoped, since Kodak, Fujifilm, Canon, and Nikon entered the digital camera industry, and where brands consumers associated with photography. Apple may not be in the printer business today, but in 1985 Apple led the desktop publishing revolution by introducing one of the first LaserWriter printers available to farmers market. The LaserWriter, the ability to print razor-sharp text, perfect, curved lines, and various shades of gray, may not be impressive by today's standards, but in 1985 it was impossible to print a hard copy of this quality without significant expense. But that's not to say the LaserWriter was inexpensive. It retailed for $6,995. This price was justified. However, since it had the most processing power of any Apple product at the time, including the Macintosh, the LaserWriter was a success and paved the way for newer models until 1997. When Steve Jobs returned to the company, he discontinued many of Apple's products, including the LaserWriter, to focus their resources on other projects like the iMac. Two years after Steve Jobs was ousted in 1985, Apple began developing the Newton Message Pad, one of the first personal digital assistants ever made. Actually, the term P-Day was coined by then CEO John Sculley. It featured a stylus-based touchscreen interface with handwriting recognition, marketed as an early flawless by Apple. Here, one of the most popular features with the Newton Assistant, by writing on the screen, users could ask the assistant to perform various functions, including printing documents, sending faxes, and making appointments. These futuristic features captivated the media, which touted them as the future of computing. But Apple didn't deliver on its promises, and the Newton message pad stumbled out of the gate. Its handwriting recognition, performed poorly in, was immediately criticized by the media. Sales were disappointing, with only 50,000 units sold in the first 4 months. Unfortunately, Scully had bet on the Newton platform becoming a a new source of income for Apple, and its failure would be a contributing factor to Scully's departure.